So let's do a bit of a rundown of like the most common threats. I'm sure that there's a much longer list and we could get super technical, but maybe give us like the most common attacks that you see launched that we should make our listeners aware of.
Okay, so ransomware has become a household name. Everybody's heard of it by now. A couple of years ago, definitely wasn't the case. Ransomware, for those who haven't heard of it yet, what that means is somebody gets into your system, they figure out, again, what is your crown jewel? What is really used to run your operations? They'll figure it out pretty quickly. If you haven't figured it out by now, they will figure it out for you. They'll come after it. Essentially what they'll do is they don't necessarily delete the data, but they encrypt it. So it's essentially deleted, because when you try to open a file, it will not open. It's a corrupted file. There will be another file that typically they will add into your folders that will say, read me or open me. And when you open it, it essentially gives you a countdown.
Right. A timer.
24, 48 hours. You have to pay X amounts of dollars in Bitcoin, or else you lose all your data for life.
Yeah. Right.
So the situation would be, so let's just say like 10 years ago, I was running quite a large home service company. We had a lot of crews doing 4 to 5 jobs a day, 2 people in each van, and there's a ton of vans rolling around, and they all use one centralized system. Like I don't necessarily talk to any of them in the morning, but they would roll in 7:30 a.m. They'd be in the van, and from the system, they know what their first job is, the address, all the specifics. It was a window cleaning, gutter cleaning, pressure washing, and then they would do that job. They would invoice the customer through it. Then they'd know how to get to their next job. They would do all their job, like time clocking. They'd clock in, clock out. It's tied to payroll. All those systems could be shut down essentially.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times
situation.
they'll come after perhaps one of those systems. A lot of times your files, your data it's a low hanging fruit for them.
Yeah.
But we're also starting to see ransomware in the cloud. So traditionally they would come after your file system, your server, but they realized and they recognized that today the reality is a lot of people don't have a physical server in the back of their office.
I'm
anymore.
using a CRM that I use a SaaS
exactly
business,
CRM. You're using Google Drive. You're using OneDrive and Microsoft, and so they actually have developed techniques over the last couple of years that allow them to essentially encrypt data that's in the cloud. And
Right.
the problem is that we're way too trusting
With these third parties that we're giving really, really valuable information to and essentially run our entire organization through. Those are also, just because you log in and create an account and pay them doesn't necessarily mean that they're 100% secure either. But this just going back to this ransomware idea for a second, like the core concept is they disrupt your operation in a way that is so severe that you are motivated enough to essentially buy it back from them.
A lot of times you have no choice.